Welcome to Tennis Volley Talk with Brian Danielson. Hey, again today, what I'm going to be doing is talking to my co-host Rob Small over the phone about just finished Australian Open, which was a really good tournament this year. Had some surprises and everything, and we'll kind of get into that and talk about a few other things and get right into it. Rob, thank you for joining me on Tennis Volley Talk today.
Absolutely, Brian. Thanks once again for having me back on.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure and always a fun time when we get to talk tennis and the tournaments prior and after. Just makes it that much more of a enjoyable thing to try to do and cover everything in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to talk about something you're so passionate about that you love.
Oh, sure. Now, I don't know. I don't know if you watched any of last week or anything like that, but I just want to say a big thank you for Mark Cam in Idaho that is actually building his own tennis court on the side of his house. I forgot to ask him and ask him what surface he's going to go with. Can you maybe guess what he might be thinking about going with? For the color of the court scheme that he is building.
Ooh, the color of the court. Oh, so he's going something a little different. It's not just going to be your basic blue and green and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with red.
Well, not really. He's actually thinking about going with the Laver Cup court. The gray, black, or whatever it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that'll be really nice. So yeah,
it's really cool and unique too. Like, here in Minnesota and a lot of the states, it's usually like, blue court with like white lines, obviously, and then like a green background or something like that, and you don't see a whole lot of change. I like the ones at El Gilbert.
Yeah.
It's got the red court with the white lines and the green background. I think is really cool. But yeah, the gray and the Laver Cup, I think it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, it really does. And I forgot to ask him about that, but he's act like he kind of gave the breakdown and how he got started and what a great episode with that and talking about him building his court in a small town area of Sugar City, Idaho. And so, yeah, it is just kind of cut. It's right up in the upper right-hand corner of Idaho next to Montana. So, it's about probably about 16 hours away from here. So I do have an open invitation. So maybe that might be on the agenda someday.
I would take him up on his offer, especially if he has a court that looks like the Laver Cup.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be really good. But anyway, hey, what we ended up doing, the Australian Open, it's over with. But boy, was there some surprises. And it came down to really actually the top players of the top 8 players kind of held their own in each of the rounds, and they kind of made it there in the quarter semis, finals, and all of that. But there were some surprises too, and you got some one that snuck in there that you never really even saw in the men's, which was the Joker beating Sinner and making it into the final and squeaking it in and everything. But then, of course, as we know, Carlos ended up winning it 2-6, 6-3, 6-3, 7-5. But what a match, 5 sets. But, as quick as Djokovic started out, you'd think, oh my, he might have a chance, but he just ran out of gas, I guess. But he had a good open draw with what happened to it, though, too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the way that Djokovic got there, that Menchit's withdrawing from the tournament due to an injury in the round of 16, so he didn't even have to play a round of 16 match. And then he goes to the quarters.
Yeah.
And he gets 2 sets to love. And I was watching that match, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. 2 sets, in a major tournament like the Australian Open, Wimbledon, whatever. You never hardly see somebody have 2 sets to love on the men's side and withdraw.
Yes.
I should say retire from the match.
Yes.
And that happened. Unfortunately, Mazzetti had a groin injury that he just couldn't get past, and you could really see the level of his play drop immensely. Like, he went from owning kind of Djokovic during that match to I can hardly hit a ball and run around. So very disheartening, I'm sure for him, and a bummer because he literally was a set away from playing Sinner, his countryman.
Oh, yeah.
And making it to the furthest he had ever been in any final or any Grand Slam before. And I don't think he would have beaten Sinner, but I guarantee you he definitely wanted the shot at him.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He may have, but then again, how Djokovic ended up beating Sinner, and that was a big shock and surprise of everybody, really. But then again, you kind of saw Sinner kind of be thinking and not being the aggressive hitter that he was when he was against Djokovic, because Djokovic was such a good retriever and getting things back.
Djokovic kind of went old school in that match. He looked like the Djokovic that we were used to seeing 5-10 years ago. His return game was great. And Djokovic, the thing that he did different in that match than I think he did in any other match was he really went for broke on a lot of shots.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it on the biggest points, too, where maybe like players like you and I, or club players, or maybe players that are ranked outside the top 100, maybe they go a little safe on some of those big points, like double break point down twice, and Djokovic was hitting these missiles, and I was like, where did this come from? And
yeah.
it's cool to see, but I will say this, and I was talking to some other people online about this. Sinner was definitely, that was not an A-plus match from Jannik Sinner.
Mm-mm.
And I think he would admit that. But that being said, Djokovic played a very good game, and that's what got him to the finals. I mean, sure, he did have some breaks, not playing in the round of 16 and down 2 sets to love. He even said in his post-match interview, I was headed home.
Yeah.
And everybody laughed, but it's true, he was. And then he gets this opportunity. He plays Sinner, and he plays fantastic. And I was actually rooting for Djokovic just because, at 38, going to be 39 years old later this year,
mm-hmm.
we don't know how much, how many finals we'll see of him. And
yes.
we don't know what's going to, he even said, too, God only knows, and it's so true. And,
oh, yeah.
And then you take a look at Alcaraz.
Oh, gosh.
His final match was unbelievable.
Oh, yes. I mean, he seemed like he was like literally down and out. And against Zverev, and Zverev was playing unbelievable. And Zverev, I think when Alcaraz started getting the cramps like he did, I think that Zverev was kind of let his guard down a little bit and wanting Alcaraz to just throw in the towel so he could win. And I don't think he was really prepared for Alcaraz to come back and start hitting that good in order to win the match. And I think he kind of let his guard down a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. That's kind of what it seemed like. And it's very tricky. You once won a tournament when you were injured, and I'm telling you, you got to almost attack that player, whoever your opponent is, like they're 100%. Because the minute you start thinking like, well, they're injured, so I don't have to do maybe this as much, or I don't have to go for broke on every shot, or I don't have to do, I would say prepare like they're, 100%, they're playing well, and they're coming at you. That's how you have to do it. Because I do think that Zverev, at times in that match, kind of took it a little bit for granted. And, for Carlos, I couldn't believe, because I was watching that match as well, and he kind of cruised. I mean, the second set was a tiebreaker, but Alcaraz never looked like he was in danger of losing a set or the match for sure. And then all of a sudden, that's when the cramps came, and then I think it was Pat McEnroe, who kind of speaks Spanish, said he just told his box, his coach and his team, that I just threw up twice in my towel. So he's battling cramps.
Oh, yeah.
He's battling throwing up. And then he said, I can't drink anymore because I just keep throwing everything up.
Oh, gosh.
Plus, he has to play Zverev.
Oh, I know. And
no easy feat.
Yeah. And he's one of the better fit players on the tour.
Yeah. Very rarely are you going to see a guy outlast Zverev, but Alcaraz is one of those guys who works so hard in the off season on taking care of his body, building up his his legs and his core and his lungs and everything to withstand those matches, kind of like Rafa did. I don't know. There must be some in the water in Spain, but those guys are built to go.
I think they are.
Yeah.
And with that, it just kind of like you said, he just kind of, I think Zverev just kind of let down a little bit and said, and then thinking that, oh, okay, I got this, and I can, and he just relaxed, and Carlos kind of fought his way through it, and just kept getting some better shots back, and then went to 5, and Carlos winning in 5.
Yeah, you know what? I was rooting for Alcaraz. Like, I hope Zverev does win a Grand Slam title one day. He deserves it.
Oh, he does.
He's by far the greatest player in the sport to never win a Grand Slam. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so talented, and he has every shot in the bag. And he even admitted himself. He goes, you know, I think sometimes on the big points I play a little too tight. And I forget the person that, you know, he talked to, but he's like, you have to go for it. And you could see in that match he was starting to go for it. But I was hoping that Alcaraz won that match because he was the better player for the first 2 sets before he badly started cramping and throwing up. And I want the best players to advance.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then of course, then you have this big epic 5-set final that you know, oh god, Djokovic he's ahead 1 set. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then I guess kind of Alcaraz kind of kicked it into the 3rd gear that he's had for a while now, and just ended up taking it from him.
Yeah, after that first set, I'm not gonna lie, I was starting to get pretty excited, and the way Djokovic beat him in that first set, like he came out like it was Djokovic, you know, 2012 all over again, and then you could see Alcaraz's level kind of pick up, and then Djokovic's did come down a little bit, and then that's when Alcaraz said, hey, listen, I am number 1 in the world, I am younger, I am probably a little more fit, just by a little bit, and you know, he had the young legs and outlasted us, but I was very happy.
Oh, I was too. I mean, it was still very good. And then you know, I mean, and then you can kind of look forward now that the French will be coming up, and you know, with that, who knows? That's really kind of a also another, you know, you could have the big 2 again fighting for the French again. Who knows, you know, but you know, the clay is always a challenge anyway, but still those 2 have just kind of managed to master that.
To me, I think when you look at the French Open or clay matches in general, it slows the ball down a lot. So that's when, you know, like Sampras, he was a good player, and I think his numbers on clay were better than a lot of people think, but that really did kind of slow up his game enough to the point where he wasn't used to, like, hey, wait a minute, like that's an ace on every other surface.
Yes.
Or my forehand rip that I just hit cross court, that's a winner on every other court. Well, for the big power players, it slows it down, and that's when the ground strokers and returners really come in. That's why Nadal won so many. That's why I think Sinner and Alcaraz are going to win a ton.
Oh, yes.
And literally, it is survival of the fittest, because it's not like fast where the points are usually pretty quick, you know, and same with hard court.
Oh, yes.
So, but that's a different monster in itself.
Oh, gosh, yes.
French is going to be wild.
Oh, yeah. It'll be totally wild. That's one of my bucket lists, is to make it to, since I have my passport now, make it to the French Open and see the French Open. Maybe, who knows?
That would be cool, because you've seen the U.S. Open.
Yep.
You've seen Wimbledon, right?
Yeah, I've looked and saw Wimbledon courts, but I didn't get to see any matches because it was right after the Djokovic and Nadal match, or not Djokovic and Federer. No, Nadal and Federer is what it was in 2008.
Was that 08?
Yeah, it was 08, the Big 5 Classic sets.
Yes. There's 2 matches when everybody, you know, talks about greatest matches of all time. There's 2 that always pop up: the 08 Wimbledon match with Federer and Nadal, and the 2012 Australian Open with Djokovic and Nadal.
Yes, like a 4-hour, 5-hour match or something like that.
It was. I think it was. I'm going to look it up here quick, but I thought it was like 12 or 13 minutes shy of 6 hours.
Yeah, something like that. It was just like a marathon, and how they even.
Like, that
Yep.
In shot making. It was great return of serves,
Mm-hmm.
solid serve. It was everything you could have wanted. If you ever want to have a casual sit down and watch a match, those are the first I'd point out.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And with that, now you YouTubers out there, be sure and like and subscribe and comment, and then also you podcasters out there, and I'll be having the racket of the week that you'll be seeing and hearing about, and kind of learning a little bit about that too. You podcasters out there, you'll hear it. So if you want to take a look at it, go to my tennis podcast, Tennis Volley Talk. With that, also you can see that or hear that on Spotify and iHeartRadio. So look that up. If you're driving down the road and you want something to listen to Tennis Volley Talk on those platforms with that. So with that now, another epic still in the women's side. Everybody made it again on the women's side. It kind of held true to form with all the women too. And then you had the one that was, we kind of all thought that she could, because she's healthy and she can match any power to any power and she's not afraid of it. And then here you have it. Sabalenka, oh yeah, that's a given. She's in the final again. And then she comes up against Elena Rybakina. And what a match that was. 3 sets and 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, the closest you can get in the whole thing in that respect.
Yeah, Rybakina played well. Remember too, if anybody goes back and looks at our predictions before, I think I agreed and I picked Sinner to win the men's, which that was wrong. I wish I could. Mid-tournament, I wish I could have changed it to Carlos, because Sinner just didn't look the same, and Carlos was on that level where no one can touch him.
Mm-hmm.
But for the women, to me, it kind of came down to Rybakina versus Iga Swiatek. I thought whoever won that is going to have a great chance. They're at least going to be in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
But if Sabalenka plays her A+ game, good luck.
Yeah.
Especially on a hard court or grass.
Yeah.
By the way, the fact that she's not a better grass player is beyond me.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, she does.
I think she'll figure some things out. But to me, Rybakina is just kind of steady Eddie.
Yes.
You don't see her ever get too high. You don't see her get too low. She doesn't get too emotional, where I think at times Sabalenka does. Coco Gauff does.
Mm-hmm.
I myself do. A little bit. But that's, and her return of serve, and she's just like, sure, she'll miss.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the biggest serve. But I'm telling you, her return game, her two-handed backhand is insane, especially cross-court.
Oh, absolutely. But she's a surprisingly good server, too, because she has such a good kick on her second serve that surprises a lot of people, too. But she hits her spots so good and with power that people just can't really read where she's going to go. And especially that wide ad out to the backhand side on right-handers.
I was just going to say her wide serve when it's on is pretty effective. And like I said, it's not as powerful as Sabalenka's or some of the other ladies on tour, but it's very effective. And like you said, you brought up the kick. She has a very nice kick. But I think what really puts people, it's kind of like Rafa. Like, I mean, sure, I don't mean to compare Rybakina because she's won one or two majors to Rafael Nadal, but she kind of has a similar game to Rafa, where, like, sure, she's not as powerful, but she's very consistent. She's a very good returner, and maybe doesn't have the best serve, but it's definitely effective. And I think those comparisons you can make to a player like Rafa. And she stymied Sabalenka's power game.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, a lot of the time, she didn't even have to generate a lot of her own power, because Sabalenka has so much coming at you, where if you just have a really good block back at her, it's coming right at her feet. Yeah. And that happened several times, where it threw Sabalenka off of her game and off of her balance, and she would just hit it right in the net.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the other thing too, I got to point out about Rybakina is she was down 3-love in that final set.
Yes, yes, and I was going, oh my gosh, here we go.
Yeah, here comes Sabalenka. The train's moving, and no one's getting in front of it. No one's stopping it. And then she, you know, then Rybakina holds.
Yeah.
And then that 1-3 when she was down, that break was huge, and then she broke her again.
Yes.
So who gets 2 breaks of serve on Sabalenka in the final set to close out a major?
Yeah, not many at all.
It's pretty much her and Swiatek right about now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. And then to have her just kind of like calmly, it just she just seemed, she didn't even seem nervous. You couldn't even see that she was nervous when she was down 3-0. And it was just kind of like and she was starting to miss things, and then it was like, oh, come on. And then she got the 1 game and then broke her and got 2 and then tied it at 3 and then back and forth and went to 4-4, and then finally she beat 1 again, and then came and won it on her serve with a wonderful wide ace to the backhand.
Yeah, I'm telling you that her serve is lethal out wide to the backhand side.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you said, I mean, 2 breaks to serve at the very down 3-love.
Yes.
Not many people could come back against Sabalenka.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hold your serve all you want to, but at that point, you're just thinking with Sabalenka, you're like, okay, if she gets another break, then she's really in trouble, and then you know, and then she just needs to hold 3 more times. Well, Sabalenka's serve is like, you know, water and a duck, you know, they just go hand in hand. But not that match, and for her in that moment to not get overwhelmed, to not get rattled, to not, you know, kind of collapse, she just stayed calm, stuck to her game, steady Eddie, all the way to the championship. And,
yes.
And Sabalenka, if you look at, you know, she like when Coco Gauff beat her at the French Open, she kind of played the same way.
Yes.
She used her own power against her, and she played steady Eddie. She was consistent. She was tough on the return to serve, and that's, I think, the best way to beat Sabalenka. And she's going to have to, you know, focus on, okay, I'm playing some really good returners, so what's going to happen when they hit shots deep? And, you know.
Oh, absolutely, like absolutely, and with that, it was just so, and then to have her, I mean, literally, because like in November she wins the year-end championships, and she wins at 5.52 million, and then she wins 2 point some million here, so total of like 8 million in 3 or 4 months.
Not bad for a few months of work.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad at all.
What do you think Andre Agassi and those guys, like, they're well off?
Oh yeah.
You know, Borg and McEnroe, they weren't making that kind of money back in the 70s and 80s and even into the early 90s.
Oh no, they weren't. And then now also then we had the men's doubles, and we had Neil Stupski, and then Chris Harrison, the brother of Ryan Harrison, which was a pro player too. And they beat, and then they beat Mark Pullmans and then Jason Kubler 7-6, 7-4, and then 6-4, which was, you know, and that's Chris Harrison's first trophy and playing doubles. But what a match! He played really good, and they just played really good as a team too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, American men right now are really struggling to win Grand Slam tournaments. So the fact that we got 1 in doubles is pretty cool.
Yes.
And, I know Harrison actually, they had a decent run. I think they got to the semifinals of when the U.S. Open did, which I think is really cool. The mixed doubles, where having more really big names come into it. I think Harrison he was partnered. I can't remember, but I thought they got to the semifinals, and I was like, man, this guy can play. Because I have to be honest, I hadn't seen up to that point a whole lot of Harrison, but really good player, quick hands.
Oh yeah, quick.
And
then
you know what? 31 years old and finally getting paid off with his first Grand Slam title. I think that's awesome.
Oh, that is totally great, and I think his coach was kind of his brother Ryan. I think he was coaching him and helping him along too.
That's awesome.
And everything, and then with that too, then we had the women's doubles, and we had Shui Zhang, and then Elise Mertens, and they beat Anna Danielina, whatever. That's kind of a tough one. And then Alexandria Krunik, and then they won 7-6, 7-4, and then 6-4, just like the men's doubles. They kind of said, "Hey, we're just going to copy these guys."
Yeah, exactly. If Zhang and Burton stay together, that could be quite the dynamic duo going forward.
Oh, that is true. That is so true. And they're
very good double players. They play well together.
Mm-hmm.
It just boggles my mind when we see two people partner up and they win a slam or two or five even, and all of a sudden they move on and play with somebody else. It's really too bad because you really like to see the continuity with these players, because it is hard to build up sometimes. Even though you're two great tennis players, that doesn't mean you're going to make a great doubles team. We've seen it like Djokovic and Nadal have partnered up in the past, and they didn't win the match.
Yeah.
So, but to get two solid players like that together, they could be lethal if they do stay together. Mertens is a very good doubles player.
Oh, she is very good. And then with that, and I kind of was going over and I kind of looked at kind of the top 10 men, and then top 10 women too. But of course, at number one, we got Carlos Alcaraz. Number two, and this kind of holds true. There might be a few that we might kind of put up or down, but we got Carlos Alcaraz at 1, Sinner at 2, Novak at 3, Alexander Zverev at 4, and then we have Lorenzo Musetti at 5. And then it could be a little bit of maybe a little here and there, but 6 is Alex de Minaur, and then Taylor Fritz at 7, Felix Auger-Aliassime, he's at 8, and then Ben Shelton's at 9, and then we have Alexander Bublik breaking into the top 10.
That's awesome. Bublik's a really fun player to watch. Unfortunately, he did not have the Australian Open that he would have wanted.
Oh, yeah.
I also felt that, okay, so you asked me too. Some of my picks were right on and some were totally off.
Yeah.
Other than the top two, and obviously Djokovic, and we knew Zverev's a really good player, but who's going to break through? And I picked Felix Auger-Aliassime because if you look at the way he ended like the last 3 months of his season,
yes,
he well at the U.S. Open. I think he got to the semis. He played well at Paris. He played well, decent, very solid tennis at the World Tour Finals. And when he came in, I thought, man, I think he could make a pretty good run here. So coming in, I had all the reasons to believe, kind of like Rybakina, how she ended her season very, very strong. And then you saw what she went and did. With Felix, I thought the same thing. And then I don't know if weather got to him, but I think he was cramping up really bad. And then he just was not even the same player. So very disappointed. So I guarantee Bublik, Aliassime, and Fritz, hate to call him out, but very disappointing for him as well.
Oh yeah, very, very. They just kept and then you still have Taylor Fritz that has this massive serve and great forehand, good backhand, but he just seems to not quite seem to put it together. It just has this lack of ability against the top players that he just doesn't seem to get the concept and play not good against any of them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know why. Like, to me, Fritz kind of falls under the same. I think Zverev is. Here's the deal. Zverev is probably a little bit better than Fritz.
Yeah.
But Fritz always destroys Zverev every time they play each other.
I know.
Head to head. I don't know what it is, but he just has it in his brain. But Fritz and Zverev, though, they have the game to do it. But again, like anytime they play, like this tournament was a little different. But anytime they come up against the big two, they can do it, but for whatever reason, I think they just both play really tentatively
Yes.
and really tight, especially on the biggest points. And if you're watching Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, if you're watching Alcaraz, if you're watching Sinner, those guys go for it. And they let it all out there. And I'm not saying that the effort isn't there, because they're always going to put in the work and the effort. But until, for instance, Zverev and those guys play bigger on the biggest points, I just don't see them breaking through.
Yeah, and that's true. You're just going to have right now, and kind of Djokovic now is the distant third that kind of keeps everybody in line in a sense. Where he used to be the number one and two, and three with the 10-year or for 10 years, and now he's kind of winding it down a little bit, but he's still a solid third behind the big two.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the big two. Good luck. There was a reporter, Andy Roddick, if you watch, for those of you who watch this certain podcast. The reporter had all day, and Roddick just got so hot over it. And I agree, but the reporter had all day to ask Novak Djokovic, the greatest of all time, one question. And the question he asked him was, early on in your career, you were chasing Nadal and Federer.
Yeah.
And he goes, now later in your career, you're chasing Sinner and Alcaraz. And then Djokovic responded with, so I'm always the chaser, never being chased. And the reporter kind of giggled and said, well, and in between all that, you won 24 grand.
Yeah.
And he goes, thanks, I'm glad you mentioned that. And, I think it was very disrespectful. And I know the reporter probably just worded it incorrectly, but, I mean, come on. Sure, yes, I know he's being, he's not being chased anymore. Novak isn't the guy heading into these tournaments, but I don't care until and we always say in football, until the clock reads zeros, Tom Brady always had a chance.
Yeah.
Same with Djokovic.
Yeah.
Until the referee says game set or the umpire says game set match, never over. And you saw here, and I don't know how the rest of this season's going to go. The spring tournaments are going to come up sooner than later, and we got Indian Wells and then Miami, which I love that because to me, the Australian Open's great that you have a Grand Slam so early in the year, but then there's kind of a lull a little bit as far as the bigger tournaments go. And, then we got those spring tournaments, which I love, and then I know as soon as that's over, that's the end of, temporarily, the end of the hard court season. We're moving on to clay, and then that's when it gets warmer weather here in Minnesota. We're playing more tennis, which I can't wait for.
Yeah.
But,
I know.
Yeah. But we'll see how Djokovic progresses. I mean, I honestly don't. I see him getting at least to the quarterfinals of every major, and I think he has a chance to win some of those smaller tournaments.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Right now, you do have to rank him as a distant third. It's no disrespect to Novak. That's how it is.
That's how it is right now.
He did beat Sinner, and if he beats Sinner, on a good day, he could beat Alcaraz.
He could
just take that first set from him. So in a 2 out of 3 in some of those smaller tournaments, he can do it.
He could. He can very much so. With that too. You YouTubers out there, if you subscribe and comment, and then you podcasters out there, you're going to see or hear about Racket of the Week. And then if you want to take a look at it, look at the Tennis Volley Talk. With that, subscribe, and comment. And with that too, anybody, if you want to take a listen, or you YouTubers out there, if you're driving down the road, you can also pull up my podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, the venues out there, and with that. So get out there and do that if you want to, subscribe, and comment. Now with that too, we have the women top 10, of course, and we have Aryna Sabalenka, number 1, Iga Swiatek there at number 2. Now, Elena Rybakina, she's gone to 3. She may have been a little bit lower, but now since she won, she's up to 3. She might even go higher by the end of the year. And then Amanda Anisimova, and then we have Coco Gauff at 5, and then Jessica Pegula at 6. Mira Andreeva, and she's at 7. Yasmin Paolini at 8. Belinda Bencic at 9, and then Alina Savalina at 10, back into the top 10 for her.
Nice for Svitolina after all these years. She's kind of like her husband, just keeps doing it.
Yes.
Year in and out.
Yes.
When they do have children, I can't wait to see if they play tennis or not, because that person is going to be a good player and an entertainer.
Oh, absolutely, they will be. Absolutely.
I wanted to shout this out too. To me, I'm going to look up the other guy's name too, but there were two great stories at the Australian Open. We have Novak getting to the final. I think was awesome. He beat Sinner. That one coming, and then Alcaraz to fight through. And by the way, the men's semifinals, we had 10 total sets of tennis in 2 matches.
Mm-hmm.
It went probably at least 12, right around 12 hours or so of tennis. And I remember Djokovic saying afterwards, "You guys definitely got your money." I mean, come on, man. You can't get a better men's semifinals than that.
No,
there was really drama. It was epic. And you got the names. Zverev, Djokovic, Sinner, Alcaraz. I mean, the top 4 men literally made it to the quarter or the semifinals.
Oh, absolutely, and that's true with everybody. They just kind of held their own, and except for the little hiccup and Novak getting into the.
But for me, the 2 greatest stories, one was kind of towards the middle, and then one was at the very beginning. So we talked about the U.S. Open, and I think it's so cool how they're highlighting that first week where, technically it is the start of the Grand Slam at the U.S. Open, but the mixed doubles I thought was so cool.
Oh, yes.
So fun to watch. Because normally a lot of people don't have eyes on mixed doubles, but when you got players like Sinner and Djokovic and Alcaraz and they're doing it, and then the fact that they put so much prize money on the line, it's really cool. And they sold out Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Yes.
But what the Australian Open does, which again I think is really cool, is they do the 1-point slam.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we covered it on your the podcast a couple weeks ago, but Jordan technically he beat Sinner. Now he beat Sinner because you're a professional player ranked in the top 100. You only get 1 serve, and he netted it. So hey, he technically did beat Sinner.
Yeah,
and he won $1 million.
Oh yeah,
in Australian dollars. It's $670,000 US dollars, and then a beautiful trophy. And not only that, he won probably the hearts of fans, especially that night. So many people, going forward, I'm sure amazing players made it all the way to the final. It was an epic run.
Oh yes,
Jordan Smith, that was so cool. That's till 5 in the morning watch.
Yeah. If anybody wants to see an interview with him, look on episode 3, I believe it is. Tennis Channel just.
Nice.
And they interview him, and he talks about how it went down, how he felt, how everybody was feeling, and how it's changed for him with a few things that kind of are a little easier for him now.
Yeah, when you win $1 million, you're as long as you invest that money wisely, you're going to do all right in life. And he was probably already doing well anyway, but one day. But that really, the trophy and the name, that'll last forever. So he'll have that lifetime story to tell. What was cool is they took the top 2 amateur players. The other was, I believe, a fellow Australian player. He was Asian descent, but he played against Jordan Smith, and they did a 1-point playoff, and whoever won a car.
Oh my gosh!
So Jordan Smith had a chance to win a car, the trophy, and the $1 million.
Oh yeah!
And he didn't win the car, which I think was great because another amateur player won a car.
Yeah.
And then he won $1 million, and it's just awesome. And then my other story I wanted to say is, I wanted to call it out here. It's Madison Inglis. Did you hear about her?
I don't think I did.
Okay, so Madison Inglis. This is awesome. Let me look her up quick. So here's what she did during this tournament. Let's see here. I have it right here. She is, let's see, she's 28 years old. She's from Perth, so Western Australia. She had never been past the first round of a major in singles. She had been to the second round before of the Australian Open in doubles, quarterfinals, and mixed. So she's obviously a very solid player, but had never made a deep run. So here's what happened with Madison Inglis. So she plays the qualifiers just to get into the Australian Open.
Yes.
Okay. So she, in her because for those who don't know, if you're in the qualies, you got to win 3 qualies. You might get in as a lucky loser if you win 2 matches, but 3 guarantees you a spot into the major draw. So you're probably going to be playing a really good player, but at least you make the draw.
Yes.
So she lost the first set in her first qualifying match, and then down match point in the second set in a tiebreaker.
Ooh.
And she went for broke, got the point, ended up winning the tiebreaker, and then closed out the match by winning the third set. Then she won her second match in qualifiers in 3 sets. Then she won her third match in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4, and then she got into the main draw. And in between all that, she got engaged, surprisingly, to her now fiance, boyfriend at the time, but fiance now, who's also another tennis player who's, a good, solid player, but, not one of the main draws, like all the time kind of players.
Yeah.
So he's definitely ranked outside the top 100, but still trying to grind and make it in.
Oh, sure.
So then she, like I said, she saves the match in her very first qualifying round 1, wins all 3 qualifying matches, gets engaged in the process, then makes the main draw. But it's not over yet. So she gets into the main draw, and she plays her first round. She played another Australian. Her name's Kimberly Burrell, who I've never heard of, but she ends up beating her 7-6 and 6-7. So they split the first sets, but the tiebreakers were 8-6 and 11-9.
Whoa.
So it's very tight. And then she pulled out the third set 6-4. Then she moves on and beats Laura Zigman.
Oh, yes. Now that's a solid player.
Yes, she's won multiple Grand Slams in doubles, and she's a very good player. She beat her 10-7 in the final set tiebreaker.
Oh, my gosh.
She got a little bit luck. She gets to the third round, supposed to play Naomi Osaka, while Osaka withdraws with an injury. So then she makes it to the round of 16, gets to play at Rod Laver Arena against Iga Swiatek.
Oh, my gosh.
So this miracle run just kept going, and unfortunately, Swiatek did stop her 6-love, 6-3.
Yeah.
She literally, though, between Jordan Smith at the beginning of the tournament and then Madison Inglis, I think those are 2 of the best stories. The third would be, Alcaraz, by the way. We haven't even talked about the biggest thing. 22 years old, has already completed the career slam and has 7 major titles.
Yes, 7 already.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, it's crazy for so young still.
22. There's some players just graduating college who are very good tennis players who have not even done 1,000th of that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, come on, 7 major titles. By the way, they showed McEnroe how old he was when he won 7 at Sampras and all that. I mean, Alcaraz blows everybody out of the water.
Yes.
Djokovic, by the way, this was astounding to me. He was 27 years old when he won his 7th major.
Oh, my
gosh. That means 2/3 of his 24 Grand Slam titles were won after the age of 28.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Again, insane and astounding in itself.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Both stories were amazing. And by the way, Djokovic being 38, almost 39, making Grand Slam finals, beating Sinner. Australian Open was epic. So that's basically what I'm getting to. Was Australian Open 2026. I think will go down as one insanely great, historically Australian Open, because look at all the stories we just talked about.
Yes.
I'm sure there's some other good ones in there.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the main ones.
Well, to tell you how close even the women's final was, it was total points won by each player. I think it ended up being 192 each, or 142 each. Total points even. uh,
Wow.
double faults, 3 for Sabalenka, I think 2 for Ravakina. First percentage serve was even. Second percentage serve was 1% higher than what Sabalenka was. It got down to like literally that close of a match. Usually in a match like that, and you don't have total points at even, because usually there's only just a separation of maybe 3 to 5 points of who wins the match with total points. That's how close the women's final was.
Wow, that's insane when you break it all down. That's really, I mean, people look at sets and games won and all that kind of stuff, but literally when you break down serve percentage,
Mm-hmm.
Break points converted, all that stuff, and it's that close. It
Yes.
literally is. I mean, a point or two either side, and you know,
And
somebody else is holding up the trophy.
yeah, and they have it at dead even on total points for each one of them.
That's ridiculous.
That is a rarity in itself, right there.
Yeah, and that's why the scores are so very close.
Yes.
Basically, it was the same the whole every set.
Yes, and it was like wow, and with that was just how it was. But now with this here, what we're gonna do, racket of the week here. Now this is actually a Spalding racket. Now it's a Spalding Prize Cup racket, and probably around about the 1960s, 50s, 60s, in that era. Now it's a Pancho Gonzalez endorsement with that, but also with that too, with the a little kind of, I love the color. It has the gold color at the bottom of the throat of the racket, and it has really ornate symbol of looks like a lion with an axe and kind of almost like a whale's lion kind of thing. And then, but it is white throat, the gold, half gold. It has the small strings again at the top and bottom of the main strings, which those actually started right around in about 1880 with. And really kind of actually what they were used for was for the kind of like string savers, the precursor to what the dampeners are nowadays. And then they phased out around about 1960 with that on these particular rackets. But also now with the ribbons around these rackets too, then the ribbons were then right somewhere about the 1960s is when they started with the ribbons on the rackets themselves. But now, what a lot of people may not know is that these ribbons were kind of because of the rackets with the as you can kind of see with the in between and how they did the bow of the racket. They kind of have layers of wood that they put together and glued together and then formed the bow of the racket. And they kind of feel that with the ribbons that went around the racket and kind of held it in place to keep it from coming unglued and also keeping the laminate together. And that's kind of what stabilized what they were called stabilizer ribbons. And that's why they back in the day with these wood rackets, that's what and why the ribbons were there along with the smaller strings on the top and bottom of the main strings of these particular rackets on that respect too. Kind of a little bit of history of that part of the racket too. And then also being that it's a Spalding racket, and the Spalding racket actually then came into existence and started then the Spalding racket then was it was founded in 1876 by Albert Goodwill Spalding in Chicago. He was the pitcher and manager for the Chicago White Stockings back in the day too. With that, and his brother, Walter Spalding, was one of the first to use high-profile athletes to endorse its products. When the player Pancho Gonzalez, of course, was the endorsee of the racket, one of the first ones that signed for them, an exclusive contract in about 1951 is when Pancho was in his era and his heyday of playing the tour. So that he was one of the ones, the first sponsor with Spalding in that strip there. And then in 1904, they patented laminated strips between the wood as layering for the racket, like I said, around the head of the racket there for that. And then with that too, you have also, Spalding was really actually selling imported rackets at the time as early as 1878, making them one of the first American lawn tennis dealers. They did not begin making their own rackets until about 1905. But, with that, that's kind of the history and a little bit of knowledge that you have with some of these old wood rackets that a lot of people just wouldn't know. So that's kind of why I say, you podcasters, if you like that, like, subscribe, and comment about that and what you like. If you like the history behind that and what I have on the history of these rackets, and you YouTubers, you hear about it, you can take a look at my tennis podcast, Tennis Volley Talk, and take a look at the racket itself. So it's really still a straight racket. You could probably hit a very light few ground strokes with this very racket still. So the white throat or this shaft, Spalding, kind of a really fancy kind of how they put it together, Spalding. So, and still, I like the gold on the bottom of the racket itself. But then we also have Pancho Gonzalez from May 9th of 1928 to July 3rd of 1995. Now, he was born to Mexican-American parents and in Los Angeles. He grew up in a working-class family and was largely self-taught, never taking formal tennis lessons. He self-taught himself how to play tennis. He became a top ranked in Southern California after a break for military service in the U.S. Navy from 1945 to 1947. And then with that, he quickly rose to stardom. He won 2 U.S. national titles, singles, 1948 and 1949, before turning pro, where he won 8 U.S. Pro Championships and was number 1 in the world for a record 8 consecutive years from 1952 to 1960. Now, that's a long run at number 1. And turned pro in 1949, and despite a tough start against Jack Kramer, of course, he became the dominant player of the 1950s. And that's kind of a little bit about Pancho Gonzalez. What a player he was, to 8 years in a row at number 1.
Wow.
So, if you podcasters out there, if you like that, like, subscribe, and take a look at it on Tennis Volley Talk. And then you YouTubers out there, like, subscribe, and comment. With that too, you can also listen with and on the radio on iHeart and also Spotify on those venues. If you're driving down the road, take a listen to Tennis Volley Talk. So yeah, a little bit of history behind all of that. But what a breakdown, and what a wonderful Australian Open we did have this year.
Oh, it was fantastic. Like I said, you look at the men's semis. You look at some of the really cool stories like Madison Inglis. By the way, I was just looking up. She's ranked 113th in the world, and she had never even made it past a WTA 1000 first round. So for her to get to the round of 16 and then winning her first match, being match point down in a qualifier, and just having this amazing run and having to play all those extra matches right before the tournament can take its toll. And then you look at Rybakina, the way she played in the women's final. You look at all the doubles, the 1 point slam. Jordan Smith, kind of an unknown, just coming in as an amateur player and beating, outlasting, I should say, some of the greats. It was very well done. And also, too, it was really good to see Rafa back sitting in the crowd watching Djokovic versus Alcaraz. Really cool to see. So, and by the way, I wanted to highlight the Australian Open. I like that they honor the chair umpire.
Yes.
And they also honor the coach of the winning man and woman.
Yes, I know.
So it's very cool how they get, trophies as well. Now, granted, it's all on the players, but also to the coach. I think it's cool that the coach gets rewarded for all of his hard work, and for Alcaraz to do it. It's very special because this is a brand new coach. This is his first tournament with his new coach.
Oh, yeah. And it just kind of meshed well together. So, with that, it just is amazing with that aspect too, of that. And to have each one of those, and I didn't get a breakdown of the men's, like I said, how close the men's may have been, but I'm sure that Carlos did have a little bit more points total than what Djokovic did. But still, to have that breakdown, and you can look that up too, and then look at those stats and how very close those points with the women's final was with both of those, Sabalenka and Rybakina. Just unbelievable how even that was in that final.
Right, and like I said, Patrick Moradoglu, he broke down the point one of the big three in their careers, and it's literally about anywhere from like 53 to 54%. So imagine Roger Federer, for example, wins 20 majors, wins a gold medal in doubles, a silver medal in singles, a Davis Cup for his country, the first one ever in Switzerland history. He does all of this, and that's not including all the other Masters 1000s and other tournaments he won. Out of every single professional match played, he only won 53% of his points.
Yes. And it's
so
like,
what? You think it would be like at least in the 60s?
Yes.
60, 65 because of all the dominance. It's same with Djokovic, 54%. He has 24 majors, 54%.
Yeah.
Of points won for his career, which it's not that 54 to 46 isn't like the dominant, landslide you think it would be.
Yes.
But that's what it is. So that just shows you, though, on the biggest points, that's when the sinners come out. That's when the Alcaraz, and hopefully Zverev and Fritz and those guys figure it out. And obviously the big three, Sampras, you can go on and on. Borg.
Oh, yeah.
Shows me more to Borg. And Johnny Mack had some big points, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I kind of think back, and nowadays with you kind of like you were kind of mentioning back with you think of a certain amount of a couple of matches that you would think of, and those two come to your mind. But for me, growing up, then watching Connors and McEnroe play, and Borg and McEnroe play, the matches that really kind of set, and what I remember was what they had at the U.S. Open, what they called a Super Saturday. Everything was played for the finals on or semis on Saturday. It was the women's singles was in between the two of those men's matches. So it was Pat Cash and Yvonne Lendl, and that went. I think that went 5 sets, and Yvonne Lendl ended up winning it, or whoever Pat Cash was playing, but no, Pat Cash won, but 5 sets. Then the women's final, Chris Evert and Martina, that went full 3 sets, and that went another 2.5 hours. And then there was Connors and McEnroe, and those, I think they were all I think they were all finals, or it was close or something like that. But it was called Super Saturday because everything went the full set realm. And then there was Connors McEnroe in the final of that the night match, and that went 5 sets, and McEnroe barely winning it against Connors in that Super Saturday. And that's kind of what I remember in my heyday of great matches that just you just sat down, you watched it all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do remember hearing about Super Saturday. That was I was born in '84, so that was definitely a little before my time when I got really into tennis. However, I see both sides to it. In a way, I wish they would go back to that. Like, how cool would it be to have the men's semifinals be played and then the women's final on the same day, all within just hours of each other?
Yes.
The only thing I would change, though, is maybe back in the day, like, women's tennis wasn't, like, looked at enough or viewed as even. But what I would change is, because I understand, the men's semifinals, the women's finals, then the men's semifinals. I think, like, the men would kind of overshadow the women. So what I think they should do is have, like, the men's semis.
Yes.
And then followed up by, the creme de la creme, the coup de grace would be the women's final.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that might have worked a little better, but they had, for time purposes or whatever, they just squeezed the women's final in between the other men's, and that's usually whenever they had the women's final. It was always on a Saturday. So the women's and then the men's on Sunday.
Right, and it still is to this day. And I understand, like, and if you're a player, do you really want to play your semifinal match on a Saturday and then you have, like, say that goes 5 grinding sets?
Yes.
Like, imagine if Alcaraz, Zverev, and Sinner and Djokovic were played on Saturday and then they had to come back the very next day. I think that's pretty brutal.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Athletes are, kind of coddled way more now than they ever were before.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
People with better diets, they're in better shape, they're playing longer, they're playing smarter, they're doing all these things, but yet they don't play as much.
Yes. Just amazing.
It would work the opposite. Well, you're in better shape, you have a better diet. Like, play even more, and it doesn't work that way. But
doesn't seem to. But anyway, hey, another Australian in the books, and look forward to getting back out in the court. And if we get out and hit, I'll probably have to start out hitting pretty slow against you because getting my elbow back. But with that, look forward to then the preview of the French Open coming up too. And thank you again, Rob, for being a great co-host with me today. And everybody like, subscribe, and comment. You YouTubers, and then also you podcasters. You can also see me on or hear me on iHeartRadio, Spotify, in those radio venues if you're driving down the road and want to listen to it, or you YouTubers, if you want to just listen to it and you're driving down the road, do that. But Rob, thank you again for joining me on Tennis Volley Talk. It was another great coverage of the Australian Open with you.
Awesome to be here, and I love being here. And it's a true pleasure to do the show. So thanks for having me, Brian.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a great day.
You too. You take care.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you go. That was it. What a great interview covering the Australian Open. Covered a lot of things within that, and also the weather here. We're here still pretty cold. But once it starts warming up, and it'll start kind of warming up near the end of this month, maybe a little bit. March kind of starts warming, breaking a little bit. April can be iffy. And then near the middle to end of April into May, it starts getting really nice out. It just kind of sometimes happens really good that way with getting warm for us here in the northern states. You in the southern states, keep it up. Keep getting outside, hitting the ball, except for, some, I've heard that Tulsa has been a little bit cold and snowy there too. So everybody, get back out when you can. And I'm sure the snow will melt within a week or two there in Tulsa, and you'll be out playing tennis again. So everybody have a great week. I'll talk to you next week, and thank you very much.